The ceiling fan creaked quietly overhead as Aanya Sharma sat cross-legged on the floor of their small living room, mending a frayed hem on her mother's worn dupatta. Her hands worked on autopilot, but her mind was elsewhere, disturbed by the whispered fights that had been resounding between her parents for weeks. The clock struck 9 p.m. as her mother, Sunita, entered the room, red-eyed from crying. Sunita, whispering Anya, "Beta, sit with your father for a minute." Anya swallowed the knot that was building in her throat and nodded. She approached the bedroom to see her father, Dev Sharma, slumped on the bed's edge, holding a crumpled piece of paper in his trembling hands. "Dev, I never wanted you to have this life. I was trying to keep you away from it." He thrust the paper into her hands. It was a loan agreement with a red stamp at the bottom that said, "Final warning." "Anya, what is this?" "I thought you paid back." "Dev, I paid half. The rest, I couldn't. The interest accumulated. I was desperate. I borrowed from someone dangerous." Before Anya could respond, a knock thundered against their front door. Her mother jumped. Her little brother, Vihan, peeked from the hallway. "Anya, stay with Vihan, Ma. I'll handle it." She opened the door to find two large men in dark suits, faces unfamiliar, but energy unmistakable. Dangerous. One of them handed her a note. "Debt collector. You have 48 hours to make a choice. Marry him, or the debt is paid in blood." She glared at the name on the page. Aarav De Luca. Underboss. Cold-blooded. Wealthy. Feared. The man went on. "Your father is of no use to him. But you attracted the boss's eye months back. Good for you. Anya, this is human trafficking. Debt collector, call it whatever. Either your family lives poor, or else you end up as a queen in a golden cage." They departed as fast as they arrived. The darkness seemed denser than ever before. Anya stood at the balcony, staring up at the stars. Her mother wept silently in the kitchen. Her father hadn't budged from the bed. And Vihan was only a child and didn't know that their lives were in suspension. She thought about all she had imagined: graduate studies, teaching, falling in love, a small peaceful life. Her destiny now was being handed over like a deed of property. "Sunita, say no. There must be another way." "Dev, there isn't. He'll kill us all." Anya gazed at her family, at the weakness in her trembling mother's hands, her father's guilty eyes, her brother's innocence. She had made up her mind. The following morning, Anya entered the Moretti Hotel, Aarav's known public property, wearing a plain white kurti. She was taken through a private elevator to a glass-walled penthouse on the top floor with silent guards. There he was, Aarav De Luca, in a charcoal-colored suit, seated behind a dark oak desk, staring at her like a predator stares at prey. His jaw was chiseled, his eyes colder than glass, and his presence was as thick in the air as smoke. "Aarav, you came. Clever girl. Anya, I will marry you. But I have two conditions." His brow creased slightly, amused at her brashness. "Aarav, you're not in a position to make demands. Anya, you want me alive, cooperative, and clean in public. That gives me more power than you think." There is a pause. "Aarav, go on." "Anya, first, my family is never to be harmed or involved in your business. Ever. Second, once this debt is paid, I'm free to leave." He rose, moving toward her. His steps were slow, deliberate, and calculated. "Aarav, very well. I'll have your marriage contract drawn up tonight. The wedding is in 3 days. In exchange for your loyalty, they live." Anya didn't flinch. "Anya, it's not loyalty you're buying. It's a sacrifice." He gave her a crooked smile. "Aarav, same thing in my world." Anya came home that evening with a blank face and eyes that had aged in hours. She sat in her room, pulled out her old diary, and wrote, "I always hoped to marry for love. But life had other plans. Tomorrow, I wear a bridal lehenga and become the bride of the man who breaks dreams for a living. The house was abnormally quiet the morning Aanya got ready to leave. Her mom braided her hair in silence as tears fell onto her lap. Her dad sat on the couch, gazing blankly at the ground. Vihan held her hand. Vihan, will you still be my sister when you're a mafia queen? It was the first time she laughed in days, although it sounded broken. Aanya, always, Viho. Even if I wear a crown made of danger. The De Luca mansion was a veritable fortress, a grand house on the fringes of the Arabian Sea, ringed by iron gates as tall as men and quiet guards in black blazers. Cameras swiveled to move behind her as she emerged from the fancy car that came to bring her. The instant her feet landed on the marble floors, she was no longer Aanya Sharma. She was the property of the De Luca empire. Within, a decadent wedding had been orchestrated, hastily but immaculately. White lilies stretched along the altar, golden chandeliers glittered above a bespoke mandap, and guests in chic attire murmured with wondering smiles and subtle pity. No one applauded when the bride walked in. No music, no laughter, but only silence, power, and fear. Anya's wedding lehenga was made of champagne gold with red embroidery and delicate Italian work. She wore subtle makeup, but her eyes were ablaze. She resembled a woman going off to war, not marriage. And then he entered. Aarav De Luca, black designer sherwani, red pocket square, purposeful strides. No expression. He gazed at her with those very same uninterpretable eyes, the eyes of a man who had ended lives without blinking. Aanya, to herself, he's not a groom. He's a shadow in silk. The wedding was swift. A priest chanted Sanskrit mantras, hardly lifting his eyes. A gold chain, rather than a Mangal Sutra, was draped around her neck, bearing the De Luca crest. A mark of ownership. Aarav, repeat the promise. Aanya, I promise to safeguard my family, even if it means residing in your world. Nobody applauded. Nobody cheered. But the photos were taken, the signatures were signed, and the cameras rolled, because image was all that mattered to the mafia. Later that night, Aanya sat by herself in a guest room, her new bridal suite. She took off her heavy earrings, looked in the mirror, and blinked away the tears. There was a knock on the door. Elio, Aarav's right-hand man, was there with his characteristic smirk. He extended a glass of water. Elio, welcome to the family. No refunds, no exchanges. Aanya, should I laugh or cry? Elio, both. But not too loud. Walls here remember everything. He left after a pause. Elio, you don't deserve this, you know. But you might be the first thing that changes him. Aarav came into the room a few minutes later. The tension grew thick immediately. He was standing at the door, arms folded, observing her in the mirror. Aarav, you look exhausted. I was expecting more fire from the girl who promised to bargain with a mafia boss. Aanya, I've given my fire. You took it the moment I set foot inside here. He went in and softly clicked the door shut behind him. Aarav, this marriage is real, legally. But it doesn't mean I expect you to love me, or even like me. Aanya, good. Because I don't. Aarav, you're here for your family. I respect that. So let's make this clear. Stay out of my business, follow the rules, and I'll make sure your family lives like royalty. Aanya, and if I step out of line? Aarav, then your fairy tale becomes ashes. He turned to exit but stood at the door. Aarav, the house is being watched. You'll be safe, but you'll be observed. Do not go into the West Wing. And don't ask questions you won't want answers to. And like that, he was gone. Aanya collapsed onto the lavish bed that didn't feel like hers. Her gaze settled on the ceiling. Her fingers held onto the De Luca necklace. She had married a man she was afraid of. For the people she cared about. But there was something in his tone, in that hesitation at the door. Not soft. Not cruel though. Aanya, I don't trust him. But I can't help myself wondering, why me? Early next morning, sunlight seeped into the giant guest room through floor-to-ceiling glass windows draped in sheer cream fabric. Aanya moved under velvet bedding. The bed was softer than anything she'd ever known, but her muscles ached from the heaviness of the previous day. She was no longer Aanya Sharma. She was Mrs. Aanya De Luca, on paper, by name, by paper, but not by heart. She strode across the frigid marble floor to a closet the size of her family's whole kitchen. Designer saris, gowns, and formal western outfits stood in rows. Most of them still had tags attached. Everything had been laid out, as if she'd been expected sooner. Aanya, creepy. A gentle knock on the door. Aanya opened it to find a short woman in her late 40s, neat bun, sharp eyes, carrying a tray. Housekeeper. Good morning, Mrs. De Luca. I'm Reena. Breakfast is ready. You're expected downstairs at 9. Aanya. Expected by whom? Reena. Mr. De Luca, of course. He has rules. You learn them. The tray contained fresh croissants, masala tea, and fruits, untouched by calamity. Anya's stomach churned. She didn't know if she was hungry or was merely surviving. Downstairs, the De Luca dining hall. The room was ridiculously big, with a 10% mahogany table, crystal chandeliers suspended from the ceiling, and walls covered with vintage oil paintings, half Italian, half Indian descent. Aarav occupied the head of the table, wearing a sleek black shirt, reading the newspaper as though it was just a regular Monday. Aanya. Morning. Aarav. 10 minutes late. She ground her teeth and sat 2 seats away. Aarav. Next time, be on time. Or don't show up. Aanya. I didn't know marriage had office hours. A faint smirk contorted his lips, but he remained silent. Just as Elio entered, sunglasses in the house, a Huffington sandwich in hand, and the attitude that he wasn't afraid of dying, or anything. Elio, is this the new queen? You made it through your first night. Congratulations. Some brides do run away screaming. Aanya, I thought about it. But the guards outside appear to eat people. Elio, they do. Only on Sundays, though. Aarav threw him a glance. Aarav, Elio, don't make her think that this is a joke. Elio, to Aanya, oh, it's not. It's a beautiful nightmare. Aanya blinked. What sort of place have I walked into? Later, Reena took her through the property. The huge gardens, private library, pool, gym, and west wing, which was closed. Reena, never go there. It's Mr. De Luca's private quarters. Office, archives, vault. Guarded 24/7. Aanya, is he hiding a dragon or just secrets? Reena didn't reply. Inside her room, Aanya stood in front of the mirror. Her lehenga was missing. She put on a plain pale blue dress from the wardrobe. She was misplaced. Her eyes didn't belong to the opulence that surrounded her. They were someone who was figuring out how to make it through. She looked at the necklace on her neck, the De Luca crazed. Aanya, this is not a home. It is a jail dressed up as one. Nightfall. Aanya sat alone in the dining hall. No Aarav. No Elio. Just silence and silverware. Reena entered. Awkward. Reena, Mr. De Luca had to leave for business. You'll dine alone tonight. Aanya, of course. Mafia boss doesn't make room for bridal bonding. Reena hesitated, then added, he doesn't eat with anyone. Not since. Well, ever. After dinner, she toured the library. Marble floors, vaulted ceilings, and book-filled walls, some of them rare, some of them ancient, some of them handwritten in Italian. Aanya adored books. They comforted her, made her feel human. As she touched a leather-bound book, her fingers brushed over something in back of it. A small, folded strip of paper. She pulled it out. A letter. Frayed edges. Faded ink. Inked in a child's hand. I watched what Uncle did. I told Papa. He said we'll be fine. But Papa died today. I think they'll come for Mama too. The letter was not signed. But there was something about it that gave her the shivers. Aanya moved through the quiet library. Aanya, is this a child's letter? A threat? A diary? Whose uncle? Whose Papa? She concealed it inside her sleeve again. The house had secrets, and they were older than she supposed. She sat in the window of her room that night, gazing at the moon glinting over the sea. In the distance, she saw headlights approaching through the gate of the mansion. Aarav had arrived. He didn't visit her, but she noticed him pacing on the balcony over the west wing, alone. Aanya, you constructed a palace to cover up pain, Mr. De Luca. Let's see how long you can keep me barred out. The next day started the same way. Breakfast, Aarav missing, Elio being sarcastic, and Aanya acting like nothing was wrong. But it wasn't. That letter she had discovered behind the book the previous evening kept haunting her. I watched what Uncle did. I informed Papa. He stated we'll be all right. However, Papa passed on today. I believe they'll also come for Mama. The handwriting was childlike, unsteady. It was not recent. It seemed like a piece of the mansion's history, something that was never meant to be discovered. Aanya, thinking who is the author of this? Whose father was murdered? Her gut told her it was no accident. Midday. She went back to the library, her heart thumping. She followed the same shelf, scanning around the books, carefully. No other documents. But the book she'd first removed, The Legacy of the Sicilian Bloodline, now gained her interest. Within the front cover was a handwritten message. Property of ADL, do not remove. Aanya, ADL. Aarav De Luca. But why would Aarav keep a Mafia family book in the public library rather than the West Wing? Unless he wanted someone to find it. Afternoon. Curiosity smoldered in her chest as she drifted towards the West Wing corridor. Two security guards stood like statues at either end. She passed by, carelessly, observing the door Aarav had instructed her never to open. Thick wood, biometric scan. No handle, no noise. But nearby, partially open, was a tiny storage room. She took a look in. Nothing but dusty old files. But there was a vent on the side wall. She knelt down and noticed it led into the west wing. Thin slits allowed light to seep through from the other side. She took a deep breath and moved in closer. Muffled voices. Inside the west wing, through the vent. Aarav's voice. Aarav, if anyone were to find that letter, they'll begin to ask questions. Burn the rest. Lock the safe. Another man, possibly one of the capos, replied nervously. Capo. Boss, are you certain you wish to have her in the house? She's not like the rest. She's asking things. Aarav, that's why she's valuable. Such people appear harmless. They are underestimated. Anya's eyes grew wide. Her heart pounded in her ears. Capo. What happens if she discovers the boy? Aarav, then she won't live long enough to give anyone the word. Aanya, the boy? The letter. Someone was killed. Aarav knows. He's hiding it. But why keep me here if I'm a threat? Unless I'm bait. Evening, dining room. Aarav finally joined her for dinner. He looked composed, as always. Black suit, no tie, hair slicked back. She, on the other hand, wore a pale beige sari, simple, but elegant. Her eyes met his across the candlelit table. Aanya, finally ate with me? Aarav, wondered I didn't disappear after the wedding? Aanya, no. Ghosts don't usually leave the homes they haunt. He laughed. A genuine one this time. Aarav, you're not what I thought. Aanya, what did you think? A shaking bride? Aarav, no. But I didn't think someone who looks at locked doors and roams the halls like a detective. The tension changed. Aanya, perhaps I'm merely curious. Or perhaps I object to being told what not to do. Aarav, curiosity can be hazardous in my world, Mrs. De Luca, particularly when you have no idea what you're searching for. She met his eyes. Anya, I think you are more fearful of the truth than I am. A flicker crossed his eyes. For the first time, he appeared uncertain. Later that night, Elio knocked, abnormally serious. Elio, don't go near the West Wing again. Anya, why would I? Elio, because not everyone in here plays fair. And Aarav, he's not the monster he makes himself out to be. But you're going to get hurt if you keep pulling threads. Anya, there's a boy, isn't there? A child involved? Elio stiffened. Elio, you don't want that answer. Trust me. He left before she could ask more. That night, Anya sat on the balcony with the sea breeze curling around her. In one hand, she held the letter. In the other, her phone, a text unsent to her father. I'm okay. But something's wrong here. I'll fix it. I'll find the truth. Just trust me. She hit delete instead of send. Anya, this wedding was meant to be for my family's protection. But what if it's not just about me? What if I was brought here for some purpose? She glanced up at the moon, silver and still. And she made a secret promise. I will learn who that boy was. And I will discover the truth, even if I die. The house was eerily silent that night. The sea outside, too, sounded muffled, as if the world was waiting with bated breath. Anya was in bed, but she couldn't sleep. The letter was still pressed against her pillow. The picture of that small boy, the terror in the words, refused to depart from her thoughts. And Aarav's words rang in her mind more loudly than ever before. Then she won't live long enough to tell anyone. She was willing to risk her life digging deeper. But the more she caught a glimpse of Aarav, the less sure she was that he was really a monster. Just past midnight, a faint piano tune filtered down the corridor. Anya walked out of her room barefoot, holding a shawl wrapped around her shoulders. The noise took her down the east wing, down a small corridor she had not seen previously. There, hidden in a quiet corner, was a door slightly open, candlelight shining from inside. She peered in. Aarav sat at a grand piano, wearing a plain black t-shirt and pants, a whole world away from the cold, suit-wearing kingpin. His fingers danced across the keys like second nature. The melody was gentle, sad, ethereal. He seemed human. Anya, I didn't know you could play. Aarav didn't react. He just waited, his back still to the piano. Aarav, you weren't supposed to see this side of me. Anya, why not? Scared I'll begin believing you have a heart? He glanced at her slowly, and his face was inscrutable. Aarav, what I possess is damage. And music's the only one that still listens without condemning. She sat on a chair nearby, observing him. Anya, did your mother teach you? His eyes fell, and something crossed his eyes. Aarav, she passed away when I was 13. Shot in the very room my dad conducted business in. Heard the shot from the piano stool. Silence. Anya, I apologize. Aarav, don't. I lost that boy on the day she died. That boy was soft. Weak. That boy was a believer in justice. He shut the lid on the piano. Aarav, now I'm a believer in control, in loyalty, and in threats that are held. Anya looked at him intently. Anya, you threaten me. You guard me. You allow me to eat in peace, and then starve me for information. Which of the two is the real you? Aarav, both. I'm a De Luca. We don't have the privilege of being one thing. He stood up, but before he could walk away, Anya, the letter I discovered, it was penned by a child. One who was frightened. One who witnessed his father's death. Was that boy yours? Aarav stood stock still. His back was to her, shoulders bristled. There was a silence of seconds. Then, Aarav, no. But I did know him. Early this morning, Anya strolled into the private garden. A stunning heaven of white jasmine, marble benches, and stone fountain. She required air, space, time to reflect. To her surprise, Aarav was already present, on the edge of the fountain, smoking, eyes adrift in the reflection of the water. Anya, you don't sleep, do you? Aarav, sleep is for those who are safe. She sat down next to him. Anya, tell me about the boy. He didn't answer at first. But then the words came, low, heavy, raw. Aarav, his name was Luca. My cousin. He was 6. His father betrayed mine, sold secrets to a rival clan. When my father found out, he ordered retaliation. But the hit came too early. Luca's father was killed before he could get his family out. Anya, so the boy saw it all? Aarav, he ran away. Vanished. No one seen him since. Anya, is that why you brought me here? Did you think my father knew something? That I could be bait to lure someone back? Aarav didn't refute it. Aarav, originally, yes. Your father used to work in the SAM network. We suspected he might have assisted Luca disappear. Anya rose, enraged. Anya, so you married me. Not to safeguard me, not even out of debt, but to lay a trap? Aarav rose as well, his tone low but insistent. Aarav, and yet, I haven't harmed you. I've been able to safeguard your family. You think I haven't had cause to close this out already? Anya, why haven't you, then? Aarav, because you broke the rules. You weren't supposed to question me. You weren't supposed to get under my skin. Their gazes met. The air around them thickened. Anya, you don't trust anyone, do you? Aarav, I used to. She died. As the first golden streak of dawn warmed the horizon, Aarav moved closer, inches between them. His usual defenses, gone. For just a second. Aarav, you're not like the rest. That scares me more than I'll admit. Anya, good. Maybe now we're even. They didn't kiss. They didn't touch. But the space between them was no longer empty. It was dangerous. The garden conversation between Anya and Aarav changed something. There was no longer merely tension. Now, there was depth. And with it, danger seemed more intimate than ever. But neither one of them was aware of how close it was really. Later that day, Anya was in the study, going through old estate papers in a bid to find out more about Luca, the lost boy, when her phone rang. Unknown number. If you need your brother back, come alone. Bring no one. No cops. No De Luca dogs. Or Vihan dies. Location attached. Her blood froze. Anya, Reena, where's Vihan? He was out playing in the garden. Reena ran in, frantic. The guards rushed. But Vihan was nowhere to be found. Anya's hands were shaking as she gazed at the message. They had kidnapped her brother. And she knew precisely why. She had come too close to the truth. She dashed down the stairs, through the guards, out the front door. 30 minutes later, Anya stood by herself on an empty street by an industrial area, her phone gripped tightly. She didn't inform Aarav. She didn't trust him sufficiently. And yet, as soon as she entered the abandoned warehouse, she regretted it. There were 3 men within, masked, armed, and grinning. And Vihan was bound to a chair, sobbing gently. Man, you should have invited your husband. We wanted a De Luca. Got a flower instead. Anya, release him. He's just a child. Man, should have thought of that before snooping around De Luca's past. They moved forward. She stood before Vihan. Then, the doors burst open. Gunfire. Smoke. Mayhem. Aarav De Luca stormed in like a tornado. Black coat billowing. Blazing eyes. 1 bullet, 2 bullets, surgical, clean, no qualms. His men flooded in after him. In seconds, the kidnappers were overpowered and pinned down. Anya stood transfixed, protecting Vihan as Aarav rushed up, panting, gun still leveled. Aarav, what the devil was in your mind? Anya, he's my brother. I couldn't sit idle and wait. Aarav, you should have informed me. Do you think I wouldn't set the entire city on fire for you? Later, in the car, Aarav, Anya, and Vihan were in the back seat. Aanya hugged Vihan, her hands still trembling. Aarav had nothing to say. His fists were folded on his lap. Aanya, how did you know where I went? Aarav, you have a tracker in your necklace, built into the De Luca crest. She blinked. Aanya, you're spying on me? Aarav, I'm protecting you. Aanya, same difference, isn't it? Silence. That night, back at the mansion, Vihan was taken safely to the guest suite with Reena. Aanya walked into her room and found Aarav waiting inside, standing at the window. He turned around, eyes dark. Aarav, don't ever do that again. Aanya, you mean risk my life for someone I love? Sounds familiar. One beat elapsed. And then, Aarav, you drive me crazy. Aanya, you test me, provoke me, question me. And yet, I can't let you go. Aanya, then stop treating me like something you own. Aarav took a step closer. Aarav, I don't wish to own you. I wish to protect you. For I've already lost far too much. Aanya, you can't keep me safe by imprisoning me. Aarav, then instruct me what to do. Instruct me how to safeguard the one being I never intended to care about. His voice broke, just a little. She gazed up at his turbulent eyes, and glimpsed fear, not of force, but of losing her. Aanya, begin by believing me. I'm not just your wife in name, Aarav. I'm here, in this, whether I want to be or not. He leaned in, foreheads brushed. Not a kiss, not yet. But everything about it screamed intimacy. Aarav, you scare me. Aanya, good. Now we're even.